In this short video, I'll introduce you to making a simple audio podcast using a free download called Audacity that runs on the Windows platform. Audacity certainly isn't the only software that you can use to make an audio podcast, and Audacity has a lot of features that we won't use in this simple demonstration, but it'll get you started and allow you to make and share audio podcasts with a minimal amount of effort. The first thing you want to do, of course, is download Audacity and install it on your machine. Once it's there, click on the Audacity icon to open up Audacity, and this is the screen that you'll see. In the upper left-hand corner, you see buttons that are similar to the ones that you'll see on your CD player or even the tape recorder that you might have had when you were a kid if you're old enough like me. The buttons are familiar. There's a red record button, a pause button, rectangular stop button, green play button, and then there's skip forward and skip back buttons on the ends that you can use while you're editing. To start recording your audio podcast, it's very simple and intuitive. Just click the record button and start talking. I'm recording a simple podcast to show people how to podcast. When I'm done, I'll go back and show people how to edit their podcast. Now clearly I made a mistake there, and I did it on purpose because I wanted to give an opportunity for you to see how to edit a podcast that has an error in it, because when you first get started, even when you've been doing it for a while, you will make plenty of mistakes. Let's go back and listen to the recording by clicking the skip back button and then the green play button. I'm recording a simple podcast to show people how to podcast. When I'm done, I'll go back and show people how to edit their podcast. Obviously, what I want to do is take out the misspoken word "bedit" and leave in the correctly spoken word "edit." What I can do is look at the waveform that appears below the toolbar, and if I look at that while I'm playing, I can see where the words are on the waveform. This was the word "bedit." I'm going to highlight from just in front of "bedit" and end highlighting just before the word "edit." That's the piece I want to clip out. If I go up to this snip button and just cut that out, that part of the waveform no longer exists. Another thing that you might want to edit out is times when you were fumbling around with your notes or just didn't know what to say next, so that your students don't have to listen to that. At the end of the video, I have a long stretch of basically dead waveform. I don't need that there, so I can highlight that and clip it out as well. Let's go back to the beginning and see how that sounds. I'm recording a simple podcast to show people how to podcast. When I'm done, I'll go back and show people how to edit their podcast. Well, at this point, I'm going to pretend that that's good enough and that I want to share this audio podcast with my students. So what do I do next? Well, if I go up to the File button and click that, I have two ways of preserving what I've just done. One is I can save this as a project, and I might want to do that, but if I click Save Project As, I get this little warning here that nothing else can really open this up except for Audacity. So this isn't something that you can share with your students. So instead, I'm going to export this as a file that someone else can listen to. So I have two options. I can export this as a WAV file, or I can export this as an MP3. Those are the two options that you would most likely use. Probably you might want to export this as MP3 because that's a compressed file that's easily shared on the web and doesn't take up a lot of space and doesn't take a lot of time to upload. I'm going to choose to export this as an MP3, and then I'll show you how to upload that file. Well, now you've created an audio podcast and you've saved it somewhere on your computer, and now it's time to share with your students. I'm going to share this with the students on Moodle, since this is a sort of a Moodle-based class. I've set up a unit in an existing class of mine to show you how to do this. And here's my unit. I've called it Moodle 3 Playroom. I'm going to click Add a Resource, and I'm just going to click File. So the little dialog box comes up here in Moodle that asks me to name and describe the file. So I'm going to call it Audacity Demo Podcast. You can type a fancy description in there, but I'm not really sure what that's for, so I always just copy the same thing that I have for the name and description. Then you want to add. So you click Add, then upload a file in this little dialog box, and then browse for that MP3 file that you've just made. There it is. Double click it, upload, and now that's there. click Save and Return to Course, and then we'll take a look at what the students are going to see when they look for that podcast. I'm going to switch my role to the student role, and there's what the students are going to see. It's just a link, essentially. When they click on it, a box opens up, and there's a little player built into Moodle that will play that podcast for them. I'm recording a simple podcast to show people how to podcast. When I'm done, I'll go back and show people how to edit their podcast. So that's how you can make a simple podcast using Audacity and put it up to Moodle so that your students can see it. There are other ways to share, just like there are other ways to make the podcast. You can put it on iTunes, you can blog, you can link iTunes to your blog, and there are plenty of other ways to do that. But this is one way that you can get started with no trouble using what's already available on Moodle.